Hello guys, YouTube channel to my welcome. Hello, is this on? How's it going guys? My name is Vishwas and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to episode 5 of the Pulsar Cafe Racer build series where we turn this junkyard Pulsar into a street-worthy cafe racer. Now, it's a rainy, gloomy day outside. There's construction work going on in the distance. Work has been really slow. This video has been overdue for almost 3 weeks. And during the editing of the video, I realized that I forgot to film an intro and did the entire video without the intro. But that is what we are here for. This is the intro you're getting. The bike is under the top because the work has already been done. What we are going to do in today's episode is putting all the wiring, all the important stuff of the bike back onto the bike and getting started on the bodywork itself. So let's do it, shall we? But still, there we have it, people. We have finished welding the frame for the final time. The back is welded, the mounts are welded, CDI is welded, the front headlight mounts are welded. And now, since this part is all cleaned up, that is what we are going to do next. We are going to paint this up so that it doesn't rust again and doesn't start degrading itself. So, let's go.
One, two, three, jump!
No, some time has passed, but what you last saw me do was probably the worst paint job in the history of paint jobs. But what we need to remember was that the paint job was to hide, cover all the freshly welded metal, and that is what the paint job has succeeded to do. Now, before we can move on towards the designing part of the body panels and the rear tail and all that stuff which actually makes this a bike, we have to put back what actually we took out of this bike before we started working on the bike. To be honest, I was expecting a little longer before we encounter our first problem, but well, the first problem is first. As you can see, that's where the carburetor is supposed to go. This is how big the carburetor is, and here we have no space to actually fit the carburetor. We fucked up because that shock absorber mount is right in space of where this hat actually goes, and it might actually fit there, but we'll have to get creative on how we actually get this thing onto there. So now what we are going to do is we are going to remove this, fit it onto the carburetor first, and then slide this entire unit through so that we don't have to bend and play with the carburetor, but instead we just have to play with this. So we'll see how that goes.
Get wild.
The tank is mounted, the wiring is most of the way under the tank and tucked. Most of the modules are back in their places. I say most of them because there were three main modules which came out of the bike. Three main modules which came out of the bike. The rear this model, whatever it was, now it's actually nice and tucked under the frame. The seat locking mechanism, the release mechanism, this is back. Again, the second module was the CDI mount, which actually runs the engine, and that is tucked up way in there. You can't even see it. I'm pointless. Third mount, which actually controls the front of the bike, the gauge, the turn signals, the handles, the controls, all that. Now, that is one mount which could not be mounted right now because, well, it's too big. It originally mounted in the front of the bike, and as you can see, we are out of real estate in the front of the bike, and that is where these plugs, these three massive plugs, are going to go. Now, all that doesn't matter for our bodywork, but what actually does matter for the bodywork, no, actually doesn't. That does not come in way of actually making the body panels. That actually comes in the way of making the seat, and we'll get this sorted before we actually start making the seat. So, as a result of the art and crafts project you saw in the last clip, what we have here is a CAD model which roughly represents what we want the rear tail section to be. Again, is this the final product? No. Does it look good? Absolutely no. Will we be using it anyway? Yeah, maybe. Because mainly what it helps us to do is to create more art and craft projects like this. Now, this is more or less the same thing but in foam. So how we are going to be going around this is the sandpaper, this is the foam block. We are going to be sanding off what we don't need and getting it into the rough shape which we actually need it to be. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it going to be clean? Absolutely not. We are going to make an absolute mess, and we'll have to clean up later, but that is what we'll have to do in order to get it ready. So, let's go.
Oh, life ain't a ding-dong. If I could take you up in boom, 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 tell me I'm the only one that you love. Life could be a dream, sweetheart. Oh, life could be a dream. Ain't a ding-dong. Plans would come true. Ain't a ding-dong. My whole life loving you. Life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again. Shaboom, and hoping we meet again. Oh, life ain't a ding-dong. Lang-a-lang-a-lang. Boom, ba-do, 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 ba-do.
Enough time lapse, stop time. So where we are at right now in the course of the past almost half an hour and 45 minutes, we have been able to progress from the CAD model, which was actually bigger than what I actually wanted, to a semi-finished styrofoam model. We might have gone from the cardboard model to the styrofoam model, but what the cardboard model has and the styrofoam model doesn't is means to actually mount it on the frame. As you can see, the cardboard model would just slide onto this and just stay there, to give you a rough idea of what the bike actually was. Now, the styrofoam model doesn't actually have any of that. So what we will have to do is we'll have to find out a way to rest this onto the flat surface of the split tail flap. So in order to do that, we'll have to find out the negative image of this flap over here and transfer it onto this over here styrofoam model. We will have to cut a section through the middle, make sure it's flat, pray that it's proper, and then mount it.
Hello again. Shaboom, and hoping we meet again. Oh, life ain't a ding-dong. Lang-a-lang-a-lang. Boom, ba-do, 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 ba-do. Oh, ain't a ding-dong. Lang-a-lang-a-lang. Boom, ba-do, 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 ba-do. Oh, life ain't a ding-dong.
So as you guys just saw, we just got finished with the foam model. It is on the bike and the bike is on the ground.
to give you a proper idea of what the bike might look like once the foam piece is actually finished. The foam model is finished. Now the only next thing which we have to do is make sure that this thing stays in place, because as you can see, this thing can move backwards and forwards, but it is properly in line with the line which we actually intended for it to be. And that is why what we are going to do is we are going to cut a piece of cardboard in this shape, and then trace out the lines in the bottom and then stick it on so that this piece doesn't move forwards and backwards. It can only be removed upwards, and it is pretty sturdy. So that is what we are going to be doing next before we can move on to the next project, which is almost 20 kilo wires for less than 200 grams, less than 100 grams of foam. I know that's pretty overkill, but well, we are working with what we have here. The piece is glued up, it's drying now, and then once it's dried, we are going to place it back on its place, where it's intended to go. So it's another day. We are back working on the obsidian. We are back working on the body, creating the body panels of the obsidian itself. Last you saw me, we just made this tail flap and it looks good, but it could be better. Now, it's been a while, it's been a long time since I've actually worked on this thing, and since then I have discovered something new, which is this. Now, this is just the same regular foam, the styrofoam, but as you can see, it's quite significantly thicker than the one I actually use, and that is actually much helpful, because as you can see, it's not been a while since we actually made this, and it has already taken quite a few hits and it has been damaged quite a bit. So we might have to remake this one, or we'll see, but this will go there, and we are going to be making side panels out of this. It will be much easier because we can make the side panels within just one piece and not have to worry about getting this to layer, and overall it will be much easier. Now, of course, these are not going to be the final side panels, these are just going to be the mock-up blocks. We are going to make fiberglass parts later, fiberglass body panels later, and these will be very helpful in that. So enough of enough of talking, let's get to work.
Sweetheart, now every time I look at you, something is on my mind. If you do what I want you to, baby, we'd be so fine. Oh, life ain't a ding dong. If I could take you up in boom boom boom, boom boom, tell me I'm the only one that you love. Life could be a dream, sweetheart.
No, before we actually get started working on the actual piece, we are pulling out our trusty old CAD to get a rough template of what the piece actually should look like. And now this is where the actual design comes in play, because this is a very important piece to tie the entire design of the bike together. Yep, that's much better. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay. There we are. I drew a line across the piece so that this is where the bevel is going to start and end. Anything above this line, in case this is the left side, so anything outside this line is going to have a bevel, and the inside is going to be straight. So that's where we are at right now. We have done the same to both the pieces. Now how we are going to keep that bend consistent is still a mystery. I mean, I have an idea actually.
Hey, baby. Ooh, darling. Hey, baby. I love you, I love you, I love you. I need you, yes, I do.
So here we are. We have succeeded in not just one but two things. One, making a complete mess out of this place. There's stripe from there, all over me, and in countless other things. And two, in making proper parts, which we actually intended to make. Now this is not one part. This is actually, see, there's the right part and there's the left side. So let me show you what I'm talking about. This is what is going to become the side panel of this bike. Again, I can explain to you better on the other side because it's much flatter here. So what this will be is it'll sit like this inside this corner frame rail. As you can see, the angles match up just perfect there and there, and it is perfect place for this thing to just be inside. Right now we can't do that because there's stuff in the way, and I do not want to cut into this foam because that will make our life much tougher and much difficult than it actually already is. There, as you can see, it flows much better with the design now. This straight line coming through there, straight line matching with the frame, and this tail flap. This thing is sitting in there just comfy and tidy. Now I actually might just shorten it from where my thumb is, but we'll decide on that later. But for now, this is pretty much it. Let's mock it up and just end this episode right here.
Ooh, darling. Hey, baby.
So there we have it. The body panels are now back on, and I think you can get a better idea of what this bike might look like when it's actually done. Now again, I know the white tail and the white body panels are setting it off real bad, and this thing looks just the way a DIY project should look like. But no, this is not the final look. And again, this is why it helps to mock things up before actually making the final part, because there is one thing I have to confess. I don't like this design. Again, it's good in the effort of that it gives us a better idea of what we want and what we don't, and that is exactly what we don't want, because now that I look at this, I think that this is going to be a little bit too one-dimensional. Again, it's just a block, just with round edges cut into shape. So I think this is not the final. Now, I knew this was going to be a problem the moment I finished these pieces and just put a rough idea of where they were going to land in, and that is why I made two different pieces off camera, and this is what they'll look like. Do they look any different? Yes, because instead of being just one-dimensional, these things are two-dimensional. This thing is going to have a proper bulge to it. It'll have a proper separation to it. I realized after looking at this for a long time, because I realized that even after entire thing is in one color, even after that body panel is in one color, it looks a lot bulky. I want this bike to have a visual look of being light, and this one big body panel sticking out to your face ruins that look. So I think this is what we are going to end up with. That is going to give us a lot of challenges. Anyways, there we have it, folks. The good news, the bad news, and the shit I fucked up news. Apart from all of the small details, we have finished what we set out to do at the beginning of the episode. That is fabricate and design the body panels and the tail of this of the bike itself. And now that that is out of the way, it allows us to move on to the next step, which is the fabrication of said body panels. So that is what you can expect to see in the next episode, where we dive deep into the fabrication of the side panels, the tail and the seat pan out of fiberglass. And now I have to accept that I have never done that in my life. I have seen a couple of YouTube videos and I've been thinking of kaise chai. Chai. Thank you. Okay. Libre. Let me finish this first. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing. Hit the like button if you like the video, hit the dislike button if you dislike the video, share this video with anyone who might be interested in this sort of stuff. And if this is the sort of stuff you like watching, please do consider subscribing to my channel. It really helps. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace. I'm gonna finish my tea right now.
Come on.
Shit, started raining again. RIP audio. Let's stay. What's the hard? In the frame, not in the frame. Too close, too far. Still not in the frame. I have no idea. Wingardium Leviosa, bitch.